Welcome to Here's What I Learned podcast, a show for coaches who want to build a thriving, sustainable business without the hustle. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes. I'm an online business manager who helps coaches transition from one-on-one coaching to group coaching programs. I've worked with coaches as a VA and an OBM and have seen the challenges they face in running the business side of their businesses. This podcast will help you overcome those challenges so you can spend more time doing what you love. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy.
And I would also offer, what kind of business did you build that you can't take a 24-hour rest period from? Like, I'd have some questions about that model.
Today, I'm happy to welcome Hailey Thomas. Hailey is the CEO and head coach of 1 Year From Now, the business residency for first-generation entrepreneurs. Her work helps her clients gain the business proficiency and mental maturity to build whatever the hell they want for the rest of their lives. And a little note, you should know that today, March 1st, the day this episode drops, the residency is opening up for its second round. So get on over to her website at brainspaceoptimize.com and apply now. You don't even need to listen to this episode. Just trust me. Do it. Then come back and listen to the episode.
Welcome, Hailey. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on, Jackie. I'm so excited to chat with you. My name is Hailey Thomas, and I am a business and mindset coach for first-generation entrepreneurs. And what that means is I help entrepreneurs really focus on the business strategy and asset strategy and acquisition strategy of buying and building businesses. And I predominantly work with first-generation entrepreneurs. So those of us that have been grown, raised, I will say, to be very good W-2 employees and very compliant employees who have transitioned out into entrepreneurship and are really for the first time learning how to conduct themselves, how to act, how to think, how to strategize like an entrepreneur.
Right. Now, I like to start off the podcast with some rapid fire questions. The first one would be, what one movie do you stop and watch whenever it's on television? It doesn't matter how many times you've seen it.
This is such a great question. So I was like, wait, is there a different movie? No, there's only one. When Harry Met Sally. It's one of my favorites. I watch it every holiday season and literally whenever it's on. I will also offer any Ocean's movie. So Ocean's 11, 12, 13, any of those movies also get a watch from me no matter what.
All of them. I don't know what it is. And if those are on, I stop and I watch them and I laugh every single time. I'm like, I've heard this joke 40 times. It doesn't matter. So what?
Yes. Yes. Part of me wishes I was I would have experienced New York in the late 80s, early 90s, and I've never been to New York, but if it's not like when Harry Met Sally gave me of New York, then I'm going to be so upset when I finally go visit one day.
My only experience in New York was in a car for the entire time, getting lost with my parents when I was 20 years old, sitting in the back seat with them arguing. So I don't really have very fond memories of New York. So.
Well, if I go, I'll let you know how it goes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will get there someday, and mostly just to visit all the bookshops. So that's my goal.
Yeah.
All right. So number 2, if you were to audition for The Voice, what would be your audition song?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, what a great freaking question. So I think I would sing, what I would sing is either an Adele song or, and I always say his name wrong, Hosier, whatever, his name, Take Me to Church. I have a very plucky, soulful version of that song when I karaoke. And I'm like, that's probably the one I could probably actually pull off since I practiced it so many times. You really have to like be very good to pull off an Adele song and not sound like horrible. But one of those two, Someone Like You by Adele or Take Me to Church.
Okay, so now I have to ask, how often do you karaoke?
In my living room, every Friday. I will literally, there's a YouTube channel called, I think it's called like Sing Kings or something. And I will just like karaoke by myself in my living room. But I also like, I sing and have sung for my church for years. And so Someone Like You, I will sing as like my own warm-up song and then go to practice with the band or whatever. So I am well practiced at that song.
There you go. All right. So the last one is, what is one thought that is currently challenging you right now? And how are you creating a shift in your thinking around that thought?
Yeah. I'll actually share one that is new, as in the last like 7 days. So it's still very fresh. The thought, I am impressive. I think for a long time in my business, I had the thought that I'm like, someday I'm going to be impressive. And so it was kind of this, arm's length away from being able to examine my own successes and in all of the ways in which I am currently impressive. It kept that as at an arm's length. And so even a week ago, I was talking with one of my coaches and we just like decided that I could be impressive now, currently at the revenue that I'm at the business model that I have, and thinking about all the things that I've done. Like, we'll get into it, but like I have multiple businesses. I've sold, assets, and I've had different sorts of businesses at different times. And so just the thought, I'm impressive, and then putting my mind to work, coming up with evidence for that and believing that and practicing believing me being impressed with myself has actually shifted how I view all my interactions with everybody, from my friends to my CFO that I had a call with today. We were going over numbers and she was like, how do you know you're just going to like make this money? And I'm like, well, I'm impressive. And it wasn't like I'm just going to believe I'm going to make $1 billion. It was like, well, no, considering my track record, I can trust myself that I'm going to continue this. So a very long answer for a three-word sentence. I am impressive.
But that's kind of how thoughts work. So,
great point.
If it was just as easy as it's 3 words, I'm good. None of us would need coaching, really. So
that's a great point. Great point.
So you talked a little bit about your past and your past experiences. So prior to becoming a coach, you had experiences in HR. You've been a VA. You've done project management. I'm really curious what lessons you learned from that and how you applied those to your current role as a coach and specifically running your business of coaching.
Yeah. So the short answer is I had my first and only big girl job in corporate America doing HR and hiring for a technology and management consulting firm. I left that place when my son was 9 months old. And was a stay-at-home mom for 4 months before I realized this job is way harder than just being employed. And so I went back to I was trying to figure out how to work and how to make money without having to go into an office. And so I started as a kind of general virtual assistant, got into project management, specifically around like customer experience, still with like tech firms, SaaS companies, administrators for tech and SaaS companies, for CEOs of tech companies, for angel investors. And so I kind of went into that realm, into that world. And I think there's one very on the nose answer, which I will share now, and then a couple of kind of underneath answers. One of the things that the reason I even pivoted into coaching was when I do exit interviews with my clients and these CEOs. And I kept getting the feedback that like, hey, you're pretty good. Like you're very good at, visioning and at coming up with a plan and delegating. But they're like, you're kind of so-so at VA work. The thing you're best at is the coaching aspect. So my getting into coaching was directly from them being like, you're okay at your job, but this coaching thing is so good. This thing that because I'd make them do coaching hours with me every week. And that, changed so much for them. So one of the things I learned is I'm very good at coaching, at visioning, at kind of architecting, like, here's this vision that you see, and I'm going to tell you all of the people we need to hire and how this is going to play out. I also learned that I am subpar at details, at executing details. And it probably was par, but like considering that was my main business at the time, I was like, oh, this isn't okay. But that's why like things like project management and kind of doing that high level worked for me and was some of the most valuable work that I did. I think I also learned a lot about the structure of business and watching people move in and through and around those structures and seeing which ones were very helpful and which ones were not helpful. So I worked with everyone from like 1-person consultants to, 30-person teams, from companies that were getting funded, like, raising funds from VC firms, to people that were bootstrapping, their offers. And so I saw a lot of structures, and I saw a lot where people were getting lost in them or stuck in them, or inefficiencies, or customers were getting lost in how the business was structured. And I always found that so fascinating. Like, I just genuinely really enjoy business and really enjoy like, why does that work? How do we do that differently? Oh, 8 people got stuck over here. We should probably fix that. So, yeah.
Okay. So then what does that look like now in your business? So when you have a new offering or you're going to change something up, how do you take those lessons and directly apply them?
Yes. So I think, part of what I learned, because of what I know, I actually probably make fewer changes than most people do to their offerings. I might change on price as demand for my time changes or something, or demand for that particular offer changes. But in general, I actually don't shift around that much. I think partly because I can see in my head, like, what's going to work and what's not going to work pretty easily up front. But I see everything, all structures as an experiment. So I've got my main coaching business, but I also co-own a whole nother business that's about podcast production. It's a course and a membership community. And part of the value I brought to that group in ownership was like, hey, we're going to make some decisions and then we're not going to change them for a whole year. That was not a fun conversation to have with other owners who like to change things rapidly. Because we needed that much time to see what this particular set of decisions was going to birth, right? What that was going to mean. And you couldn't tell that in a quarter. And for some things you could. No, actually, I think I take that back. I think we wish that was how that worked. Like you'll just know after 12 weeks if it works or not. I mean, sometimes, but mainly like you need several iterations. So I think one of the valuable things is that I actually make decisions and iterate for probably longer periods. And I'm never thinking this isn't working. It's more of like, just in what ways is it not working specifically, so that you can pivot while you're iterating, but on the same idea. So for example, in that other brand, we did a price increase and we stopped payment plans. So we went from being able to do $97 a month for 5 months to just, it's $500 straight up. You're in or you're out. And that like slowed down sales for like 12 weeks, in which people, wanted to be like, it's not working. No, it's working. Because then we had to learn how to sell that. And then we had to learn how to sell on value and not on ease of purchase. And then so once we got those things together, then we were like, okay, it's picking up. Okay, people are buying it. Okay. It forced us to fix so many things before we just switched again. So this was a long roundabout way to say that I think the thing in my business is that I that I was most helpful coming out of HR and project management and all that stuff was that I think I iterate more slowly and evaluate a lot more and allow whatever iteration I'm in or whatever version of my business I'm in to teach me what I need to learn before I switch out of it.
I think that's a really good discussion topic because one of the big things that you hear about online businesses and startups is that you can pivot quickly, Yes. But as you said, you're pivoting in how you're delivering something, maybe in your messaging and how you're reaching people, but you're not pivoting on the actual offer.
Yes.
And I think that there's an idea of one, you have to offer like 20 different things at all different price points so that you can reach everybody. But then also if after 12 weeks, nobody's buying, then just redo it. And I'm going to go into a new niche or whatever it happens to be. And really, you just end up confusing your audience quite a bit if you're constantly doing that. But also, like, there's that whole experiment of when they were selling jelly at the mall, and if they had like 30 to choose from and nobody bought anything, but then they whittled it down to 6, and all of a sudden, they were selling like hotcakes. So when people come to you as clients and they are like, it's not working, I really feel I need to have 3 more offers. What kind of advice do you give them?
I laughed when you said that. I don't laugh in my client's face, but a little bit, that's what I'm feeling inside. It's a little bit like, no, you don't. You don't. You don't. You just don't. So what I tell them, because those are two sides of the same coin, it's not working and I need more offers, is first of all, it's not working is not an option for me or any of my clients. There aren't, words you can't say, but like if there was, those would go under that list for me. It's not working. Because then my question is, what's not working? Is pricing not working? Is delivery not working? Is marketing not working? Is the way you're selling and closing and converting not working? Is what's not working? So I'd make them get very specific about that. Very often, the truth is it is working. They just have unrealistic expectations for what working is supposed to mean 6 weeks into launching an offer, based off of their audience size and how long they've been, present in their, whatever their industry is. Because I work with, currently inside my group container, I have a caterer and food photographer and accountant who also owns a wedding venue business and who also has a like physical business where, what are those places called? Where people go and work like we work.
Oh, co-working space?
Yes. Thank you. Sorry. So she's an accountant and has a wedding venue and a co-working space. I've got a graphic designer. I've got a money coach. I've got a marketing writer. So the type of business, it literally doesn't matter. There's not anything. And I think that was another, thing that came through my time in HR and project management, is that there's not a thing anyone can show me that they can be like, no, this just, you don't get it, Hailey. This doesn't work. I'm always like, that's crap. Let's talk about it. And then no, I need more offers. Sometimes clients feel so strongly about it. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Go try it then. And what they almost end up learning in both of those scenarios is how to think more critically about what it is not working or what it is they are selling, right? Because when they go to sell the new thing or like, oh, I need a payment plan, and then still no one buys it, it kind of validates their brain like, oh, it wasn't the price at all, or it wasn't, they needed it shaped this way or that way at all. I'm missing something in how I'm communicating the value and how I'm closing sales and how this offer that I have, no matter what it is actually delivering results. And that is smarter, more mature problem solving than anything else. I'm very much a fan for, you get one offer. I don't care what it is you do, you get one offer. And then when that offer is selling like gangbusters, sure, add another one. Why not? But it takes, because a lot of times it takes that much focused concentration to learn, how do I sell this? How do I market it? What confidence can I have in it? How do I deliver it so that people are really loving the results they get? And it's hard to do that across 6 it's impossible, frankly, to do that across 6 offers and do each of them as deeply as you need to actually create results.
And a lot of what you're talking there is, and you mentioned it earlier, is evaluating. And I know that you're big on evaluating and reviewing. What does that process look like to you, and how often do you do it?
That's a great question. So I used to be very like formal about it and very like, here are the 6 steps and everything that like, it's just very formal. And I still think my end of year evaluation and after large launches or large projects, I'll do like a formal, it might take me 2 days to do an evaluation, a couple hours over 2 days. But evaluating is literally just asking, what about this worked? What about this do I never want to repeat again? What about this do I want to do differently next time? Like I'll do that same thing, but shifted this way or that way. And what did I learn? So this could also be a thing you do in 15 minutes and a bulleted list, right? So evaluating is, I guess if we break it down to steps, is like defining what you're evaluating. Are you evaluating, your specific offer? And I would even do more specifically the offer in the month of January, or the offer from like, its inception to now. So it's been 6 months. But what are you evaluating? And then going to find the information. So collect the data is what I call it, is, okay, how many sales calls did you have? If you marketed, where and when did you market? What was the response to that? How many people actually booked calls with you? How many people became clients? If you actually had people become clients, how did their sessions go? How many sessions did they have? When they left, what were the results they got? Like and this is as objective as possible, right? So we're not being like bullies to ourselves. We're not trying to inflate our numbers. We're just looking at data. And then based off that data, do an evaluation. What worked? What didn't work? What do you want to do differently? What did you learn? The end.
And with that, do you ever do any celebrations? Do you add celebrations to all of that? Or do you wish you added celebrations to all of that?
So I have celebrations in my mind in a separate category than my evaluations, but I think it's because I do like a separate set of celebrations like every day, like 3 of those every day. But you could just as easily do this in this process. So when I say celebrations, I mean, what are the things that the thoughts, behaviors, emotions that you are most proud of yourself for exhibiting? So one of my clients' very real evaluations was, I did not punch anyone today because she felt like it. She really felt like it. And so it was a celebration because she was proud of how she navigated her own thoughts in that particular scenario. So yes, I would suggest do celebrations. And then also, why is that a celebration? So sometimes it's like, I made 10 grand and that's a celebration. Cool. Why? Right? Because the reason you might celebrate 10 grand is different than the reason I might celebrate 10 grand. So also pulling out that why is useful.
What has been one of the biggest challenges to running your business, and how have you overcome it?
Hiring Jackie. Is that just a blanket answer that I can have?
FYI, I am Hailey's group program facilitator. So yes, we have a relationship on all of that line. So
yes. Oh yeah. No, I think a big challenge for me, which does come in line with like hiring someone to support me. I think a big challenge was recognizing the ways in which I am not able to support myself operationally. Early on, I think I did a good job managing that by just making my offer one that I could deliver. So like I did one-on-one coaching for a year and most of another year. But I made it so that like my clients recorded their own stuff on their end. So I did not have to do the administrative work of getting that to them. We had Voxer support, and I have the app on my phone set up with my parameters for when it gives me notifications and not. I set expectation. Like I basically had the way that I delivered in a way that I knew I could deliver excellently without really having to get into the weeds. And then as soon as I was ready to transition into an offer that required a higher level of delivery, I hired somebody, right? So I took my skills and knowing what I needed because I know very well like what the job is and what I needed, and then go find someone to fulfill that, which ends up being you. And I'm very, very happy about that. But that was a challenge. I think the other challenge too was coaching is different than catering, for example, in that like I'm not selling food. There's no thing for someone to look at. And so I think I spent a good several months getting my own mind around what it is that I'm selling, to the point where now it's not commoditized as in like anyone can do it and you can just go get it from any place and all of it is equal and the same, but it is commoditized in my mind of like, oh, I know exactly what the offer is. I know why it works and who it works for. And if it's a thing that someone could go pick off the shelf at Target, I'd be able to like describe it, right? I can't, there's nothing to put in a box, but I could come up with a packaging for it, a box for it if I wanted to, because I know that the product that well and the transformation that well. So treating coaching, learning the work that I'm doing in the transformation so deeply that I could treat it like someone who has a catering business or an accounting business or whatever, was a thing that like a challenge I had to kind of get my hands around.
I like that idea because I think a lot of coaches struggle with the intangibility of their offer. And in doing so, they have a hard time selling the offer, because if they're not clear on what it is, then, you know, the people that they're trying to sell to aren't going to be clear on it either. And why would you spend the money on coaching that you don't understand, you know? Yeah. But to stop and think of it as like, if I had to put it in a box, what would I write on the box is a great little exercise.
Oh yeah, it definitely, and it might take like a couple tries to like get it, but it definitely focuses it. And it made me go and ask, well, how do I create results? Why does coaching work? And so me being the fairly pragmatic person that I am, kind of got me into like neurobiology. Why do thoughts work? What are they made out of? Why does, you know, what is it about the repetition and the new ideas of coaching that creates results? So I have answers to all of those things now for myself first, but that brings like a confidence to my work, because I'm like, yeah, no, I know this works. Like literally scientifically, I know that this works. There's not like anything anyone can do to like tell me that it doesn't.
And I think too, when I hear you or other coaches talk about the neuroscience of coaching and neuroplasticity and all of those things, the geek in me, the scientist in me is like, okay, well, these are the right coaches for me, because I'm about half woo-woo. I hate the term woo-woo, but I'm also a scientist. And so having a coach who recognizes that there is science behind all of this and can speak to me about that, it helps alleviate some of my fears. So, you know, not all coaches need that, but for you, that is part of who you are. And so therefore part of how you coach. And then that just brings in the ideal clients that message works for.
You're exactly right. And I think some coaches are very like spiritual, but even they have their own definitions for how this works and why it works, but it needs to resonate with them first and foremost, and then their audience secondarily, right? Like the coach that I know someone in my current mastermind who is a self-love and tarot coach, and she's awesome. Also, we have very different audiences. So there's probably not a lot of crossover of our audiences, and that's perfectly fine. That's completely okay. That comes back to that conversation we were having about like creating something that you know how to sell. Like if I tried to sell my stuff the way that she sells her stuff, that doesn't work for my people or me, frankly, either.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I think is unique with you is that you have your clients plan their rest before they plan the rest of their year. Let's not worry about launches. Let's not worry about all of these other things until we have rest and play and holidays and breaks on your calendar. And then we'll go from there. So can you tell me a little bit about what rest first planning means to you and how that applies to your business?
So rest first planning is like the thoughtful child of what was years of watching like these tech CEOs and SaaS company leaders be so burnt out, unable to innovate like they needed to, unable to truly, we're talking, hey, can you actually book a couple of chiropractic appointments because I'm so stressed out, I can't, turn my head to the side, right? So what I would do for them, and I forgot what I called it at first. It was something very dramatic, like how to keep your wife from leaving you and your child from becoming a serial killer. Not PC. That was not okay. But it was like this, hey, that was the beginning of Rest First planning, where I would really start them out several weeks from where they currently were. Cause you can't like decide tomorrow that you're going to start resting. Your world is not prepared for that. And you were not prepared for that, but let's start like, I don't know, 3 weeks out, a month out. And I'm going to start to build in first these just an hour a day or an hour a week. And then like 2-hour blocks until with those guys, I was doing like every 3 weeks, they had this big, like 4 or 5 or 6 hour chunk of time where they don't have to do anything. And then that turned into, okay, so we're going to actually that's going to turn into a rest day. Cause I started this other little 1 hour thing over here for thoughtful and like deep work time. And it was like this, like very like shifty thing I was doing with their calendar that they were like, what is this? This is amazing. So that has transitioned into what I coach my clients who have much smaller businesses now, because I want them to get to this habit now. It's like good habits now that when their company is $500,000, $1 million, 2 million and beyond, they are already in the rhythm of having the room and space for rest. So it might feel excessive or silly now, but the people I work with are growing and building these big companies. And, big is relative, but building these companies, and we want them to have like good hygiene, like rest hygiene and sleep hygiene. So the very first thing we did, so currently I work with people inside of a 12-month container. And the very first thing we did, as Jackie said, was literally schedule all the holidays, any weddings or vacations, random travel, like, every October, my family does a family reunion, whatever, get that stuff on the calendar. And then we go through at least once a quarter, twice a quarter is more preferable, and find the days that work best for 24-hour rest periods. So this is valuable in 2 aspects. One, so often we forget that our body has needs, which sounds so freaking basic until you look up and you're like, I haven't peed in 7 hours. I need some water. I haven't slept, and then upset because our body's not responding well. Our body is a machine. Coming back to that science, it needs a certain set of things to run, and we don't give it that, it can't run. It's pretty matter of fact, actually. So there's the legitimate sleep and rest of sensory and rest of processing that our brain and bodies need. But then the magical thing that Jackie was with us on kickoff, the magical thing that happens is that the act of planning even a break causes so much internal crap to bubble to the surface. It's like we stirred up a pond, and all the gunk on the bottom is now up in the surface. And what you can actually see are all of the reasons that have always been there, but all of the reasons that my clients think they are unworthy of success, of rest, of setting boundaries, of how much money they can make, of their own worthiness, of their value based on production. All this crap comes up just by they haven't even taken the damn rest days yet. But by virtue of planning them, all these thoughts come to the surface that we then get to coach on and deal with.
And rest isn't a sick day or the day I'm going to do all my laundry.
No, we actually, in the group, and I wonder if I have it nearby. I don't. But we said there's a difference between rest day is not a sick day. A rest day is not an administrative day. A rest day is not a house cleaning day. A rest day is not a travel day. A rest day is not seeing your family day. A rest day is not catching up on office work day. It's none of those days. A rest day is where you value rest as much as you would going into an office and doing a job. That's how important your and there's a whole bodies of work around the types of rest that we need, but it is legitimately meant to prioritize emotional, creative, sensory, mental, physical rest. Like shut it down on purpose. And then you're doing the work of kind of protecting that space with purpose. And all like the act of doing this is what helps so many of my clients level up into someone who holds their space very well and has this commanding energy very well and does not do things just because people expect them to very, very well. So it's kind of a double duty process, the rest first planning. I'll also offer, everyone thinks this is a great idea until they have to do it. And then it's the worst idea. And Hailey, no, you don't understand. I have 4 kids. No, you don't understand. I'm so busy. Everyone has like, guess what? You're going to do it. Because of like the act of doing it is what creates so much growth.
And I think a lot of people think, oh, if I'm resting, my business is going to go stagnant. But more and more I'm hearing from people who burnt out, and they're like, actually, the year I was so sick I couldn't do anything was my best year in my business because I was resting. Your business doesn't just go away because you're resting. So.
And I would also offer, what kind of business did you build that you can't take a 24-hour rest period from? Like I'd have some questions about that model, right?
Is that really the business that you want to continue for the next 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, however long you intend to continue it?
Yeah, exactly. And this comes back around to like that conversation we're having about like mature thought and mature, business planning and that kind of thoughtfulness is like, if you have built something that you can't take a break from, you did not build a business. You built yourself a job, and a very terrible one at that.
Which is what everybody was trying to escape from in the first place when they started their own business.
Exactly.
Now, you've talked about your group coaching program. I know that you're getting ready to open it for cohort number 2. Can you tell me a little bit about the program in case anybody is interested in it and how they can learn more?
Absolutely. So my program is called 1 Year From Now, the Residency. And it's all based off this kind of cornerstone exercise and cornerstone thought. If you could build whatever you wanted for yourself a year from now, like what might that look like? And all of the kind of thoughts and work flows from there. And so this is a 12-month program. It is for, as I mentioned, first-generation entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of people from the global majority, so the BIPOC community, and any business, any type of business, any model of business is welcome. My only stipulation is that they have to have created at least $50,000 in a 12-month time period in one of their assets, because my clients sometimes will have like 3 assets, 3 businesses. So created at least 50K as an entrepreneur. It might be between a couple of them. It might be in one. And my goal for them is to essentially give them the business strategy and the mental and emotional maturity to basically build whatever they want for the rest of their lives.
And where would they go to learn more about it?
Yes. So you can go to brainspaceoptimized.com/residency. And there you will find the program details and how to apply. Applications for the second cohort of the residencies. This is a limited seat kind of container because we want each group, each cohort to really work together and bond together and be able to support each other. So there will be certainly less than 20, probably closer to 15 folks in each cohort. Cohort 2 is enrolling March 1st through March 25th of 2022. And the next enrollment will be in November of 2022.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being with me here today. Where else can they find you?
Yes. Speaking of only doing a few things at a time, predominantly you can find me on the internets on Instagram. I'm at Brainspace Optimized. You can also listen to my podcast 1 Year From Now with Hailey Thomas. And that's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the places where people listen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again for being with us here today.
Thank you, Jackie.